There will now be an opportunity for silent prayer or meditation. May we be seated. Honorable members, I informed that Honorable T.M. Makaringe is in attendance for the last time today, as he has officially resigned as a member of the Mpumalanga legislature. We appreciate his unwavering dedication and commitment which he displayed while serving the legislature, and we wish him well in his future endeavors. Statements by members. Are there any member statements? Honorable Mahlangu.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. The African National Congress has learned with shock and sadness about the gruesome murder of a 47-year-old mother and her 11-year-old twin boys and her 6-year-old daughter in Mkondo, Pitritif. The woman and her 3 children were found lying dead in one of the rooms, and an axe believed to have been used to kill them was found next to their lifeless bodies. It is very concerning that our women and children are brutally killed in this harsh manner by suspects known to them. We call on our law enforcement agencies to show that preventing the killing of women and children is a national priority by implementing effective prevention and response strategies with immediate effect, and to declare war against gender-based violence and femicide. Honorable Speaker, we urge all structures across the province to stand together with the family of the victims of the violence and crime. Sithanda ukudlulisa amezwi okuzwelana kakhulu nemndeni elahlekelwe ngilabo sebasishiyile. Ngiyathokoza.
Honorable Mashilo.
Somlomo yabonga. Ngithatha lethuba ngibonge le statement esishunyiswa umhlonishwa Mahlangu. Indeed, we are saddened by this untimely death and the killing of the innocent people by this Swazi nation peasant. It is very gruesome. Those kids are very innocent. These people were lovers. When the time comes that they must separate, this person decided to do that. I must indicate that we must thank our police for swiftly responded and arrest him before he can escape the country. And as we speak, he's in jail. We'll do everything as government to make sure that he gets a harsher sentence. Thank you, Speaker.
Honorable Makaringe.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Let me greet the Premier, members of the Executive, and honorable members present in this August House. Indeed, it is true, Honorable Speaker. Let me take this opportunity to thank all members of the Executive and honorable members that I was working with, Honorable Premier, for the humble welcome and support and kindness during my stay as a member of this August House. Let me indicate that the time has come that I have to leave this August House and the team to go and face new challenges. I'm standing here to deliver a statement on behalf of the African National Congress to commend and appreciate the Department of Cooperative Governance under the capable leadership of Honorable MEC MJ Msivi for his swift response following a devastating heavy floods that has so far left thousands of citizens in Mpumalanga homeless, damaged infrastructure, schools, social hospitals, and claimed lives of our people. We also appreciate the pronouncement made by Dr. Nkosazana Zuma in declaring a national state of disaster after most parts of the province, especially in Hlazeni, being the hardest hit, with Nkoma's local municipality and City of Mbombela local municipality severely affected. Honorable Speaker, with more rainfall predicted throughout the week, we urge communities to be on high alert and to avoid crossing streams and bridges, and request municipalities to intensify the enforcement of municipal bylaws to prevent similar tragedies in the future. At the same breath, we want to convey our deepest condolences to the bereaved families of the victims. I thank you.
Honorable Mashilo.
Thank you very much indeed, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Makaring is one of the honest, dedicated member of this legislature from the African National Congress. Well cooked. He has done utmost best to serve this province, this legislature. It is indeed very prudent of this legislature to give him an applaud and say thank you very much, Mr. Makarin. We wish him very well in the greatest endeavor of life. Honorable
Mashilo, can you please speak about the statement of Honorable Makaringe, the issue of the national disaster around Hlazeni?
My apology, Honorable Speaker. Well, Speaker, we have indeed noted with regret and a great shock that Freddie came uninvited in the province. He has caused so many disasters in the province. But from where we sit as the government, all departments that are relevant must respond in terms of their budget, the emergencies that they must deal with the matter in that area of Nkomazi. And certainly government and our municipalities through the DDM model, we're going to respond as the problem persists now. I must, however, indicate that we're unable to come into the picture immediately because it's still heavy rain there. You can't take the machine in the area to respond. Otherwise, there will be more problems in terms of them get stuck because the area is very wet. But we are going to respond with our program that we have just designed as both government and the municipalities. Siyabonga.
Honorable Sithole.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I rise to deliver a member statement on behalf of the Democratic Alliance. Honorable Speaker, it is worrying that the Mpumalanga Department of Education forfeited 312 million rand from the infrastructure grant because the MEC and his department failed to spend this money to build, refurbish, or maintain schools in Mpumalanga. Parents, educators, and learners are frustrated because this government failed to spend 312 million that was allocated to build, refurbish, or maintain schools in our province. The infrastructure at schools like Sidlamafa High School in is so old to an extent that some classrooms have cracks on them. 2 years ago, the Honorable MEC promised to them that the old building will be demolished. Honorable MEC, that old cracked building is still standing and learners are now using it as a smoking area, and in that one of these days, they will find a learner either raped or killed and hidden in that old cracked building that you promised to demolish 2 years ago. They have written several letters to your department to no avail. avail. You provide schools like Sidlamafa with temporary Zozo classrooms that are as hot as being cooked in an oven with dysfunctional air conditioners. And as such, educators are compelled to teach standing at the door, while you fail to use 312 million allocated to build, refurbish and maintain schools like Sidlamafa High School in KwaMhlushwa. Honorable MEC, you and your department should hang your heads in shame and stop defending the indefensible. I thank you.
Stonde.
Honorable Majuba.
Yeah, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. And thank you very much to the Honorable Member for the concern. The concern we are talking about is what we are also not happy, and we regret that we had to forfeit that 312 million, which was supposed to be given to us. If you'll recall, all the previous years, we've been doing great insofar as the grant is concerned. And as a result, at some stage, we were even given additional funds by National. In this financial year, we had a problem of a lot of people in the unit of infrastructure who decided to resign at once. And that created a lot of challenges for us, because that skill is a scarce skill. You can't just take anybody to do that. We can say that those who were given a responsibility to assist us interimly, insofar as that is concerned, managed to avert something that would have become worse. But we do regret, Honorable Member, we also agree with you that there is a lot of need for that money in the province. That is why we have dedicated ourselves that we are going to work much more harder to make sure that the infrastructure backlog that we have with the programs that we have will have to be intensified. Thank you.
Honorable Malachi.
Madam Speaker, the Economic Freedom Fighters has noted how quickly the SAPS and the Minister of Police, Begikele, reacted when the ANC councillors were recently killed in Mkhonto. But the very same opposite can be said about the killing of a young, innocent grade 12 learner, Talent Msibi, who was shot by the police in the same area. Talent Msibi was shot and killed by the police during service delivery protest in Mkhonto on January 16, and no one has been brought forward to account. Surprisingly, even the acting MEC of Safety and Security, Honorable Speedy Mashilo, is also silent on the matter, as if nothing has happened. The 17-year-old Msibi was not part of the protest, but on her way from school when she was shot and killed by the police. The EFF will therefore like to implore the acting MEC and the IPID to act accordingly and help the Msibi family to get justice. Equally, the EFF, saddened by the loss of Fighter Sanele Themba, the regional administrator of EFF in Ehlanzeni, who was brutally stabbed to death by the ANC-aligned members of SASCO in Barberton during this past weekend. The EFF will not rest until Msibi and the Themba family get justice for their loved ones. I thank you.
Honorable Malishilo.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I want to thank Honorable Malachi for raising the matter. Crime is a crime, irrespective of who commit the crime in this country. Certainly, the matter is under investigation, because when someone got a crossfire in the process, we'll have to investigate it to see and come to the determination where will that bullet come from. And so that matter has not been left unattended. In due course, we'll be able to determine and indicate who is the person. As for the one in Babaton, as I said, it doesn't matter who committed a crime, whether it's a SASCO or ANC or an EFF. If indeed you have stabbed someone, you will be arrested. That person will be brought to the book so that the justice is done. We are equal before the law. Otherwise, not have arrested even some senior members of the ANC in the party. That means ANC were determined to deal with what we refer as crime as it is. Thank you very much.
Honorable Weber.
Madam Speaker, may I just, before I start my statement, apologize that I had to leave this chamber because I had forgotten my speeches. Madam Speaker, when I have a speech, I don't read a speech, but these member statements have to be read from a paper, and I had to do it. I apologize. Madam Speaker, I rise on behalf of the Freedom Front Plus to make a member statement to this House. The Freedom Front Plus wants to commend the dedicated Ehlanzeni District Intelligence Task Team that rescued 19 Bangladesh males from a house in Gamagugu yesterday and arrested a man from the same country for human trafficking. The victims' cell phones were placed in a plastic bag, which suggested that they had no access to communicate with either their relatives or friends. Human trafficking in Mpumalanga is at an all-time high and often goes unnoticed. Last year in June, the police rescued 39 human trafficking victims from a farm in Belfast, eMakhazeni. This group included 9 children under the age of 5 years. Of the trafficked victims recorded in Africa, 64% are children. They become victims of forced labor, victims of sex trafficking, and exploited in domestic servitude. The Freedom Front Plus would like to bring awareness to this crime, the many facets in which it presents itself, and how civil society can play its role. The more we know about this issue, the more we can protect ourselves, our loved ones, and our communities. We appeal to the Mpumalanga government to effectively combat human trafficking. We need strategic networking, collaboration, and partnership. We also need awareness. We need civil society to work with government entities, and more discussions need to take place on public platforms. No person can do everything, but every one of us can do something. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Mashilo.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. We can't agree more with Honorable Weber. However, any arrest or any information that has happened so far is through our collaboration with our intelligence community. I must indicate, as correctly said, we did rescue the number of people I've just mentioned, including the one of Yagwamakoko, who were involved in rescuing those families. But of course, this issue can only be combated if we work together with the community. Police are not in every house, police are elsewhere, but communities were almost everywhere. And if we can work together everywhere, definitely we shall combat this cause of gender-based violence, including the kidnapping and the trafficking of our girls or our people. Thank you very much.
Executive statements. I am informed that there are no executive statements. Motions without notice. Are there any motions without notice? Honorable Lubisi.
Honorable Speaker, I rise to move a motion without notice on behalf of the African National Congress to extend and appreciate the local mining company, Afrimat, located at Nkomazi municipality. Noting that since the company took over from its previous owners at Mangweni since 2019, in collaboration with various stakeholders, they have been able to build 2 community halls, one in Skwatlane and one in Matadin. Further noting that recently they have donated a newly refurbished clinic in Steenbok, Nkomazi local municipality. Speaker, the infrastructure has been one of the frustrations for a long time as government. Is one of our frustrations for a long time as government. So it gives us pleasure and relief to have private sector assisting us in this regard. And this has also brought much relief in the department as 84% of communities in Mpumalanga rely on the public sector for health, therefore putting a strain on the department. I so thank you.
The question before the House is whether we agree to adopt the motion agreed to. So agreed. Honorable Shongwe.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I rise to move a motion without notice on behalf of the African National Congress for this House to commend the Honorable Premier and the provincial government in ensuring that young people are brought into the mainstream economy through entrepreneurship. These programs are run by the Premier's Office and the provincial government of Agriculture. The Premier's Youth Development Fund is one of the highly successful flagship program. Noting that since its inception, the project has empowered 97 youth-owned businesses across the province and funding to the tune of 140 million that was allocated to them. In the current financial year, 36 companies have been approved for funding with a total amount of 92.3 million funded. These youth-owned enterprises are within sectors that are inclusive of mining, agriculture, manufacturing, transport, and logistics. Further noting that, Honourable Speaker, More Africa Restaurant in Mkondo Municipality is one of its beneficiaries. The business started selling food from under the trees, then due to funding, it moved to a suitable venue, and it has created 9 permanent jobs, as indicated by the Premier in her speech. Another funded company is Maratebe, a mining company in Victor Kanye, which has created 5 additional permanent jobs. Roadshows were conducted in rural areas. We saw participation of youth with disabilities. Also, the Fortune 40 within the Department of Agriculture is now producing commercial farmers. I therefore move that this House commend the sterling job done by the provincial government led by the Premier, Honorable Mtsweni. I so move. Thank you.
The question before the House is whether we agree to adopt the motion agreed to. So agreed. Are there any motions without notice? Honorable Kabela.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the province is currently experiencing heavy rainfall, which has already caused flooding in many parts of the province, especially within the Ehlanzeni District Municipality. So far, the floods have claimed the lives of 11 people just here in Ehlanzeni District. We have further noted with disbelief the expenditure incurred by the Nkomazi local municipality on the establishment of an operation center to adhere to the flood disaster in Nkomazi. The municipality has already procured and used almost $500,000 on unnecessary equipment such as safety boots, water boots, reflector jackets, VIP toilets, steel tent, and food. Honorable Speaker, we call upon the MEC for Kokta, Honorable Msibi, to keep an eye on the ball and make sure that no taxpayers' money is stolen and that all those found to have stolen the taxpayers' money must be brought to book without fear or favor, because we don't want to see the repeat of the corruption that occurred during COVID-19 and Nelson Mandela's funeral. I so move.
The question before the House is whether we agree to adopt the motion. Agreed to?
Agreed.
So agreed. Honorable Grobler.
Good afternoon, Speaker. I rise to deliver a motion without notice on behalf of the Democratic Alliance. Honourable Speaker, noting that a report by Times Live alleges that the Provincial Police Commissioner, Lieutenant General Samakaleng Manamela, was suspended over the many gifts she received from various police stations across the province. The publication further noted that the unduly gifts which Manamela received included gift vouchers worth thousands of rands, a TV stand, couches, and other household appliances. Although the gifts were declared by Manamela, it's alleged that she pressurized police stations into giving them the gifts to her. Further noting a report which was conducted by Lieutenant General Tulani Notobela maintains that a whistleblower requested the investigation to be focused on the abuse of power, misuse of the T-Club funds, nepotism, and corruption to the tune of 1.7 million rand. Speaker, if this wasn't so serious, it would have been funny. But noting the seriousness of all the allegations and the complexity of the issue, I firstly move that we welcome, as a House, the investigation and the suspension of the Provincial Police Commissioner, Lieutenant General Samakaleng Manamela, and secondly, call on this provincial government, who we heard earlier by the MEC is doing a sterling job, to ensure that this investigation is also conducted as quickly and effectively as possible. I so move.
The question before the House is whether we agree to adopt the motion. Agreed to? The motion is defeated. Are there any notice without? Are there any motions without notice? Notices of motion? Are there notices of motion? Honorable Weber.
Madam Speaker, I rise on behalf of the Freedom Front Plus to give notice of a motion. I hereby move on behalf of the Freedom Front Plus that the Department of Agriculture, Rural Development and Environmental Affairs investigate the impact that the excessive planting of macadamia trees in the Lowveld has on our natural water resources. I want to mention that I self-farm with macadamias, but not here. In my area, it's not a problem. Have I said something wrong? I apologize, but that's the truth. No. Research shows that it takes 1,000 liters of water to produce 850 grams of macadamia nuts. The same amount is required to produce 1 kilogram to 2 kilograms of avocados, or 6 kilograms to 7 kilograms of citrus fruit, respectively. In layman's terms, that is 205 liters buckets of water that people in the rural areas don't even have for a handful of nuts for the privileged elite, for a luxury item. The water footprint of macadamia crops is increasingly becoming an issue worldwide. The world is watching what we do with our water. We need to be able to determine the water use efficiency of a macadamia crop to determine the crop's feasibility in a water-stressed world. In several areas, specifically in Bombela, like White River, Brondal, and Hammondsburg, residents are complaining about natural water resources drying up as the macadamia orchards steadily expand. Extensive land modification for crops, such as macadamias, has become a significant threat to biodiversity, and the department needs to get a hold on it before we have no natural water left. I believe, Madam Speaker, that we must do something about it. We can restrict it on the one hand, but on the other hand, we can supply more water by building more dams. I so move, Madam Speaker.
The motion is noted and will be dealt with accordingly. Formal motions. I am informed that there are no formal motions. Orders of the day. The Secretary shall read the first order of the day.
Order number 1, debate on the Honorable Premier's State of the Province Address.
I have a speaker's list in front of me. I will now call upon the Honorable F.M. Lombo from the ANC, and you are given 10 minutes.
Honorable Speaker, thank you very much. Please receive my sincere greetings, which are extended to the Deputy Speaker, Honorable Mufokeng, to the Honorable Premier, the Leader of Government Business, the Deputy Chief Whip, Honorable Makaring, whom it is his last day today. I want to say to him, we meet to part and part to meet, and each and every bond, it's a bond to sorrow. To the Chair of Chairs, Honorable Mkhatshwa, the Deputy Chair of Chairs, the members of the Executive Council, my colleagues in the Provincial Legislature, our esteemed guests, ladies and gentlemen. The ANC welcomes and supports the State of the Province address delivered by the Honorable Premier, because we believe as the ANC that it conforms and complies to all the policy imperatives set by our government and the governing party. Honorable Speaker, in 2010, the people of South Africa, from all walks of life, from the cities, from the farms, from the villages, from the towns, and from the squatter camps, came together to develop a visionary plan for South Africa. These South Africans, Honorable Premier, amongst them were ordinary members of the public, farm workers, security workers, non-profit organizations, religious leaders, local government formation, parliamentarians, members of provincial legislatures, and the judiciary. Some of them, they braved the scorching sun, some braved the heavy rains, some traveled long distances to develop a plan for South Africa, which is the National Development Plan. Together, they envisage a South Africa where poverty will be eliminated by 2020, where inequalities will be drastically reduced, where all South Africans will unleash their energies to build a more faster and inclusive economy, where all South Africans will have access to decent accommodation, where communities will be safe, where there will be social security, where transport and job opportunities will be galore, where the urban and rural spaces will be transformed, where the South African nation will be united, and where society will be transformed. There is no doubt, Honorable Speaker, that the Honorable Premier, through her speech, she has taken us through that journey, a journey of hope, a journey of perseverance, a journey of possibilities, a journey of resilience, a journey of defiance to roll back the shadow of history, the Honorable Premier has once more again proven beyond any reasonable doubt that where there is hope, where there is willingness, where there is determination, the people thrive, and the revolution becomes a victor. As you correctly said, Honorable Premier, we continue to change the world under conditions not of our own making. We continue to change the world under conditions not favorable to the working class and the poor. These are conditions characterized by the persistent dominance of imperialism and neoliberalism. These are conditions characterized by the state-sponsored wars to push and strengthen the imperialist agenda. Under those conditions, we persevered as a province and we navigated our way to find a platform to create a better life for the people of Mpumalanga. Under your stewardship, Honorable Premier, the provincial government defied all odds and held the bull by its horns and delivered to the people of Mpumalanga houses, roads, schools, clinics, and a better life for all. Yes, the priorities of the National Development Plan finds expression in your speech. We support your bold pronunciation on the just transition because the National Development Plan calls on ESCOM to play a key role in the renewable energy sector and to promote public ownership in a renewable energy infrastructure. Yes, you are correct, Honorable Premier. Mpumalanga must jealously defend its 12 power stations. Mpumalanga must protect its coal mines and the livelihood of the workers who are working in those mines and the communities who are living in those areas. According to the National Development Plan, Honorable Speaker, coal in South Africa is used to produce over 70% of primary energy, more than 90% of electricity, and is also used to produce a third of the liquid fuel. So coal is our economic jewel in this province, and as such, we support your call that we must protect and defend our power stations and our mines. We fully support you on the drive to use public procurement to promote economic participation in order to transform the ownership of the economy and the means of production. It is both in the National Development Plan's position and nearly in each and every ANC conference and each and every ANC manifesto pronounces on this matter that you have so dearly emphasized. So you are correct. You are spot on. You are correct, Honorable Premier. We can achieve all the above if we understand the importance of striving for a better Africa and a better world. In order for South Africa to achieve its national goals of eradicating poverty, lowering inequalities, creating jobs, and growing the economy, South Africa must have a clear understanding of the global shift in power and influence from the West to the East. It must have the understanding of the regional formations in Africa and a clear understanding of both the domestic and the global balance of forces. The speech delivered by Honorable Premier fully covers the ANC 2019 manifesto because we are left with less than 15 months before we end the 5 years of the manifesto. But the speech covered a lot of the pronunciation of that manifesto, beginning from the transforming the economy to serve the people, to advancing social transformation, to strengthening governance and public institutions, to building safe communities. The speech has just blow by blow covered all those priorities. As I close, Honorable Speaker, let us encourage this House, the Premier and all the MECs that let us radicalize the implementation of the Mpumalanga Reconstruction and Recovery Plan, because the Mpumalanga Reconstruction and Recovery Plan, it's a plan designed and cut to fit the needs of our province. It is a plan that appreciates the maximum beneficiation of the pillars of our economy, which are mining, manufacturing, agriculture, and tourism. Amongst the strategic interventions to implement this plan, we suggest that it should be the reprioritization of funds so that we target the mass employment projects for radical implementation. We also need to fund and encourage the youth of the province to participate in tourism. Tourism is part of the priorities of the Mpumalanga Reconstruction and Recovery Plan. We need to use the Mpumalanga Economic Reconstruction and Recovery Plan to transform the agricultural sector to be accommodative to the majority of the people of the province who are mostly black and poor. We need to defend the mining industry. We need to defend our coal mines. We need to defend our coal-powered power station. We need to defend our jobs, and we need to defend our economy. We are delighted that this State of the Province address covers most of the policy priorities and imperatives that have been decided upon by the African National Congress and by our government, both nationally and provincially. You have made us proud again, Honorable Premier, and thank you very much. Thank you.
Honorable Nchalinchali, you are given 8 minutes.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Premier, Ma'am Tsweni, our honorable members of the Executive Council, our honorable Deputy Speaker, our honorable Chief Whip, and our outgoing Deputy Chief Whip, the Honorable Chair of Chairs, the Leader of the Official Opposition, all political parties present, our DG, together with our HODs, Sinlochise noke emakhaya nenkhambeli zethu. Sanibonani. Honorable Speaker, allow me to take this opportunity to reflect on the 2023 State of the Province address that was delivered by the Honorable Premier last Friday. I must extend my greatest gratitude to members of the legislature, always holding this executive accountable, and it's exactly what the Honorable Premier did on Friday to account on work done. Honorable Speaker, the low economic growth in our province and high unemployment rate continues to negatively impact on poverty and inequalities within our communities, which our province now has suffered 50% in terms of your unemployment, which that one it's leading our people to tend into ways that are not right. Hence, they end up using drugs so that they can forget their problems. And also, the increase on violence, it also perpetuates that, because people, if they are unemployed, they are not in a sober state of mind. Just yesterday, the human trafficking operations of the SAPS here in Bombela Magugu found 19 foreign national locked in 3-bedroom, which the human trafficking is a problem with our porous borders, which is a challenge to a province. Madam Speaker, we also saw the gender-based violence that is increasing in all 3 districts in the less than 14 days. The first one was on the 12th of February in Kangala, where 3 people were stoned to death by community of Sinotlelo Falbank after they have discovered a body of an 8-year child that has went missing and later found dead in a pit toilet. On the 19th of February, in Ehlanzeni, Mbombela, Barberton specifically. A 38-year-old suspect was snatched by Barberton police after being caught by the community, pushing a trolley which contained body parts of a 19-year-old female, which was chopped and stuffed in a bag. Just now in Khersiband and Mkondo, a man allegedly hacked to death a mother and her 3 children with an axe. Their lifeless body of Pilisio Makubu and her children was discovered by the communities there. We are concerned on the increase of this violence that is unleashed to families, especially women and children, and it affects our communities. We must deal with this. Kumele sibukane ngqo nako lokuhlukunyezwa komama neingane. Singathuli lafa elihle kakhulu ngoba obaba bebaziwa ngokuthi bayasivikela imndeni yabo, bayasivikela isizwe sabo, kodwa osikubonayo manje sekuyibo abasigenqa ngobhusha basibulale. The Department of Social Development has also deployed its social workers to provide psychosocial support to those families that are affected and the neighbors in that area. We must all stand together and condemn these gruesome acts and call on all our civil society, our fraternal, our communities, our traditional leaders. Let's stand up and fight this scourge. In terms of the victim empowerment programs that we have as a department, we have, as a Department of Social Development, been rendering services to the victims of gender-based violence. We know that they were complaining, our women throughout the province that we've interacted with, to say, we are bullied and being victimized. You are correct, Honorable Premier and Honorable Leader of Government Business, to say it happens behind closed doors. And in most cases, women must move out of home and they cannot be protected. Therefore, that is why we have shelters around Mpumalanga, which are 23 for victim support. 2 shelters are managed by ourselves. And we must say that last week we had a meeting with the Minister of Public Works and together with the MEC of Public Works to use the dilapidated and unused public works structures so that they can be safer homes. We've got also in fighting poverty, have CNDCs that we are dealing with the poverty alleviation and making sure that we deal with substance abuse. As I gallop, Honorable Speaker, there is an increase in substance abuse. Hence, all our treatment centers are receiving 50 males in terms of treating them and making sure that we deal with substance abuse. And the department has also hosted the Boys Assembly in 3 districts to raise issues that are key in terms of safer communities and how boys should behave and how to overcome these life challenges, because GBV starts exactly there. And we had a men championing change dialogue under the theme creating a safer and healthy communities, where we spoke to male and dealing with that. Honorable Speaker, we've delivered sanitary towels to most of our schools, and the details are in the speech as I gallop because I'm trying to catch up with time. Honorable Speaker, there are service pointers of social development which we are funding, NPOs which are fighting the scourge. We've got Sanka Lowfell, Sanka Witbank, Tembisile, and Lapeng. Also, Honorable Speaker, as we talk about the issues that pertain our national citizens, we've got Golden Games, which when they participated, there was a torch handing over to Mpumalanga Province by the Minister of Social Development, which announced that Golden Games 2023 will be coming to Mpumalanga, and thus was saying we should be preparing. Madam Speaker, the Department of Culture, Sports and Recreation also working to deepen its values and unity. They have these programs in terms of promoting cultural diversity to enhance culture and tourism, hence the hosting of signature events, Mpumalanga Cultural Experience, the SATMAS, and those programs are ongoing. And Honorable Speaker, what we can elevate is that also there are some libraries that are being built, and there are planned projects in terms of your gold penning, that are coming as we will be hosting as a province, and also their legacy project from the netball as we are hosting the netball as South Africa. Also, the province will continue building those public libraries in Mhluzi and also Mhlanga and Tembisile. As I conclude, let us deliver more services, and that is why we are saying we are showing off what we have done as this ANC-led government. Thank you very much.
Honorable Sidibe from the EFF, we are given 11 minutes.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Greetings to the Honorable Premier and all the honorable members, the Economic Freedom Fighters Commander-in-Chief and President Julius Malema, who is today launching the EFF 10th anniversary program in Johannesburg, Constitutional Hill, members of the Central Command Team of the EFF and members of the Mpumalanga Provincial Command Team, and all ground forces of the EFF. The year 2023 marks a very important year for the EFF and South Africa's political life. It was 10 years ago that fighters gathered in Soweto, Uncle's Tom Hall, and resolved to take up the generational fight for economic freedom in our lifetime. We took it upon ourselves to fight for land expropriation without compensation, and we took it upon ourselves to fight for nationalization of strategic sectors of the economy. It was 10 years ago that we decided it was now that we must fight for a capable state with provincial housing construction, road construction, provincial cement company, provincial food stocking company, to change the lives of black people. We took it upon ourselves to fight for free quality education, healthcare, houses, sanitation, massive industrialization for massive job creation, investments in the development of African economy, and an open, accountable, corrupt-free government and society. We are still here today, Honorable Speaker. We will stick to this commitment until our people have economic freedom in their lifetime. Speaker, allow us to take this opportunity to send our deepest condolences to the family of Phumzile Nkuna Ward 4 from Ward 4 Nkomazi, and other families who lost their loved ones in the recent floods here in parts of Mbombela and areas to the southeast of the city and in Nkomazi. Allow us also to take this opportunity to call on the community and the law enforcement agencies and the rescue operations to be vigilant, because there are more people that are still missing, and work very hard to find our people so that their loved ones can bury them with dignity. It is unfortunate and extremely regrettable that the Speaker tried to hide behind Karl Marx during SOPA, at the time when her political party led by Mr. Cyril Ramaphosa stand opposed to everything Karl Marx believed in. Karl Marx did not believe in privatization and state-owned entities. Karl Marx did not believe in private ownership of water and electricity. And he will certainly not agree with the president who hide money in his sofas. When workers in Lutul House, they were not receiving their salaries, including in Chema Silela, Comrade Matla. The circumstances of hunger, joblessness, crime, and poverty is circumstances chosen by the ANC, substantial issues, and provide concrete guidance, because it's our duty to guide the ruling party, as you all know that the EFF leads, the ANC follows. On development on the strategic infrastructure, the Honorable Premier spoke about the Carino Interchange project on the N4 as one of the completed provincial roads projects, wherein this is central project together with Muloto Road. So the Premier must allow the minister responsible for road and transport to report this in his budget speech debate in the National Assembly. The Premier must tell us about the rehabilitation of roads from N2 to Klipval Phase 1 in Piet Retief. That was initially budgeted for 88 million rand, but we are not told the project amount has gone to 114 million, because the project was poorly designed by her government. The contractor left the site at the end of 2021 because the provincial government has failed to pay. Why is the provincial government reporting national roads project instead of telling us when will the rehabilitation of road from N to Klipva? The Mdladla road to Piva is full of potholes. They are trying to patch the potholes, but the tar is finished. There is nothing to patch on. Honorable Speaker, our people do not have water. In Ganyamazane, Gapogweni Township, which is unusual, and all the villages of Mpumalanga, some are forced to drink water with animal. 29 years into democracy. This thing of our people buying water, which is a basic human right, is criminal, Honorable Speaker. We have a general crisis of clean water here in Mpumalanga. Our people in Kavanibig were engaged in a civil protest because the ANC want them to drink dirty water. The Honorable Premier spoke on the issue that we must invest on education. How do we invest in education when nearly 30 years since the dawn of democracy, our children continue to learn under the tree, dilapidated building without proper sanitation and security, while the provincial government failed to spend budget? Our problem is not resources. More than 300 million allocated to building schools and maintaining schools for our children was returned to National Treasury because of the ANC incompetence. Children in Bashele Primary School in Ward 5 from Sugalikwa are sitting today inside the shack because of overcrowding. This school was converted from higher primary to lower primary school to accommodate only children from grade 5 to 7. But today it must accommodate children from grade R to grade 7. There are no new classrooms, the budget for feeding scheme was not increased, and some students do not get food, while others are eating. Ntsele Primary School in Ward 2, Tekamahara and Pushpak Ridge has been dilapidated for many years now, and its budget was allocated under MSc Regina Mharule, and nothing has happened to date. As we speak, parents refuse to take their children to attend school because that thing will collapse on their children. We are sitting here today, we will not go inside that building, let alone send our own children there as honorable members, because our children are in better schools and we don't take care of the poor children in the villages and townships. It is the same with Zakeni Primary School in Ward 32, Tembisilean, and Epulweni Primary School at Mkonya location, Ward 7, Emakazeni. It is also bad. Children have to share days at school. So you have children sitting at home waiting for Wednesday and Thursdays to go to school, and the others going Mondays, Fridays, and Tuesdays. We are breeding criminals here, Honorable Speaker. We must build capacity within the Provincial Department of Education to deliver projects and deliver them on time, because our children cannot wait any longer. If you do not want to build internal capacity, appoint contractors on time, give them practical and well-considered projects, pay them on time and hold them accountable. But the only sustainable solution is building internal state capacity to use the state to better the lives of our people, and this will include abolishing tenders. Honorable Speaker, we are in 2023, nearly 30 years since former President Nelson Mandela was sworn in as the first democratic president of the democratic South Africa, and our people still do not have access to decent health facilities. The ANC government in Mpumalanga is closing clinics instead of building new ones. The clinic in Delmas, Del Park has been closed since December because the roof is leaking and toilets are not working. Where must the residents of Del Park extension 2 and extension go when they get sick? Must they die at home or what? Our people are forced to walk long distance to go to clinics in Puluzi, in Chief Albert to walk kilometers because there are no clinics in their ward. It is not possible for one clinic to save 4 wards as it is happening in Puluzi. We have a serious shortage of nurses and doctors here in Mpumalanga, while there are a lot of unemployed nurses and doctors sitting at home. We are lacking orthopedic surgeons. As a result, our people are being unnecessarily amputated in the hospitals because we only have one orthopedic surgeon in the province. The last time I checked, there were 2, and the other one, I think, is on maternity leave. And our people are suffering who got fractures through a car accident, etc. We must say this, the government of Mpumalanga is in a state of disaster, and this is the disaster that is created by the ANC government, Honorable Premier. These circumstances are not of your own creation, but of your organization creation. Our people must reject the ANC government in 2024, and we call on all of them to come in their numbers on the 20th of March and join the national shutdown led by the EFF and close everything, and nothing must move until Cyril Ramaphosa has resigned and as our president and our people have reliable electricity. In conclusion, Honorable Speaker, the sun is not shining in the province of the rising sun. It is shining for others somewhere, but not where it originates. And it's only the EFF that can bring back the sun to shine in Mpumalanga. I thank you.
Honorable Sithole from the Democratic Alliance, you are given 5 minutes.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, let me begin by welcoming the fact that the Premier's Youth Development Fund has reached out to 97 youth-owned businesses in the province. In addition to the above, we welcome the announcement by the Premier that 90,000 jobs for the youth will be created in the next 15 months. Mpumalanga has the highest expanded unemployment rate in the country, which has just increased from 46.5 to 48.2 today. The DA will be monitoring this bold promise very closely. Mpumalanga has just recorded the largest increase in the official unemployment rate today as the stats were released. Honorable Premier, as I said in 2019, that the DA commends you for adopting the DA's model of creating job centers to support and enable our unemployed youth to get work. The Honorable Premier called these job centers LED desks, which were established in various municipalities across the province, and of course, they became completely dysfunctional. On Friday, the Honorable Premier announced that now she's planning to establish a jobs war room to assist young people with job opportunities. The LED desks were also established for the same reason, but did not work because the Honorable Premier, you have become a master of making grand announcements but simply lack the ability to implement the bold promises that you make. Honorable Premier, changing the name from job centers to LED desks to now jobs war room is not making any difference to the lives of your youth who are unemployed and desperately looking for work. Honorable Speaker, allow me to take this opportunity to thank SANRAL for their constant and consistent investment in our road network, especially our freeways and byways, which are well maintained by SANRAL. We thank them. Honorable Premier, your State of the Province address this past Friday provided no progress on the work of your cabinet in attaining the previous promises you made. Again, you focused on crafting your words very carefully, making new announcements without providing progress on your previous announcements, such as what happened to the Smart City, Nkosi City, which you announced in 2019, the School for the Deaf, which was announced 13 years ago, the Cultural Hub, which was announced more than 10 years ago, the High Altitude Training Center, which was announced more than 10 years ago, the International Fresh Produce Market, which was announced more than 10 years ago. These projects were announced with a false hope that they are going to create employment for the youth. Your bold promises are forever either in the planning and design phase or assessment of feasibility studies that are costing millions of rands with nothing to show for it. Some of these projects haven't even taken off. 100 million rand of taxpayers' money gone and nothing to show for it. When is construction going to commence on these long overdue projects, Honorable Premier? Honorable Premier, in 2019, you announced that your government will seek alternative sources of energy since load shedding was already uncontrollable then. In many areas of our province, businesses and residents have no electricity in excess of 10 hours a day. You've been speaking about transitioning to a greener economy by us seeking alternative sources of energy since 2019, given the fact that only one power station, Komati Power Station, have been decommissioned, I do believe that this is still just another plan, which is referred to in times of intense load shedding. You should have actioned this transition in 2019 already. And again, you failed to do so. And to this end, there is still no action plan. Just political rhetoric, because load shedding is intensifying and ruining lives. Honorable Premier, in 2019, you announced that you are considering various options to conduct lifestyle audits on your cabinet. However, from one SOPA to the next, you are now singing a different tune. The Honorable Premier has now shifted this lifestyle audits to senior management and staff in government departments. Honorable Premier, start with yourself and your cabinet first. If you have nothing to hide, the DA is challenging you to subject yourself and your cabinet to lifestyle audits. Honorable Premier, you didn't even touch on MEGA because you know MEGA is a mess. You didn't even touch on health because you know that department is a mess and must be placed under curatorship. You didn't even mention anything about gender-based violent crimes that has rocked our province. How sad. As I conclude, Honorable Speaker, sadly the state of the province delivered on Friday was just a compilation of grant announcement that lacked in implementation with no progress feedback on many previously announced projects, a well-crafted speech, again, that failed to inspire. I thank you.
Honorable Shiba from the ANC, you are given 8 minutes.
Somlomo angubingelele, ngibingelele undunankulu uMemthweni Tsepane, ngibingelele uChief Whip nama members ahloniphekile esishayamthetho. Allow me to join the speakers before me and the public at large in congratulating the Honorable Premier for the well-articulated status of the province as captured in her address last week. Honorable Speaker and honorable members, the Honorable Premier's address largely focused on the achievements on the specific targets that the provincial government adopted in the previous year and within the medium-term strategic framework period. We, together with the people of the province, listened attentively when the Honorable Premier shared how the provincial government supported the economic development programs for young people and women. Despite the adverse condition brought about by COVID-19 and load shedding, the reported economic growth of 1.6% and the jobs net gain of 146,320 clearly indicate that we must have turned the corner for the better and provide the necessary courage that indeed there is light at the end of the tunnel. Madam Speaker, our hearts were filled with pride and contentment when the Premier shared with us the progress made in youth economic empowerment of the Premier's Youth Development Fund as the successful flagship of the province. It's also extremely satisfying that the beneficiaries of this program are spread across the province, across different sectors, and covers women and people with disabilities. The successful farmer support stories listed by the Honorable Premier are appreciated and encouraging. Those include the Tahakral Pigari, the Babaton vegetable farm, and the Vlaglaagte poultry egg production farm. These are a few of many that are supported through the Pesgom Konomlim and Masibiele Esibayini Farmer Support Program. In addition, Somlom, we have in this regard established production corridors to channel our efforts and green the whole of Mpumalanga. We have developed infrastructure which include irrigation system and fencing. In Kangala, we are promoting the grain production which include maize, sunflower, and beans. Somlomo, a good example is Bakhatla Cooperatives in Marapiane, which has turned 145 hectares green with maize and sunflower. A good sight indeed. Madam Speaker, the completed provincial road infrastructure projects are extremely impressive. They include special maintenance, upgrading, repair, and rehabilitation of roads in Graskop, Akonuk, Egulindeni in Chief Albert Luthuli, Dagakral, and Verena. We deliberately mention the Graskop road because it is one of those that are crucial for the tourism sector. It is true, Honorable Sidibe, we are one government in terms of IGR. The completion of the Carino interchange and the Tegwane South Bridge, listen attentively, Honorable Sidibe. The completion of the Carino interchange and the Tegwane South Bridge are the highlights of the commitment to make our roads safer and convenient. Surely, even hardened opposition members would applaud these progressive achievements, Madam Speaker. Honorable Sithole, listen attentively also to this. Honorable Premier, the roadmap that you pronounce is premised on the national MTSF priorities and shall become the command line upon which the departments will launch their service delivery operational plans. The Department of Agriculture, Rural Development, Land and Environmental Affairs will be part of the jobs war room and food security from the 9-point program of action you presented, Honorable Premier. Your enthusiasm about the just energy transition transformation is the tonic the country needs to take this process forward. The reality is that our country and our continent are warming much faster than the rest of the world. A warmer climate is accompanied by extreme weather events. Mpumalanga Province, Eastern Cape, KwaZulu-Natal, and Northern Cape have recently experienced severe storms, flooding, and heat waves impacting on agricultural production, the livelihoods of thousands of subsistence farmers, and more systematically on the country's gross domestic product. Somlomo, ngivumele ngicaphune kunkulumo yamongameli ubaba uCyril Ramaphosa, inkulumo yobunjalo besizwe uma ethi, we are at our most essential, a nation defined by the hope of resilience. It was hope that sustained our struggle for freedom, and it is hope that swells our sails as we steer our country out of turbulent water to calmer seas. Even in these trying times, it is hope that sustains us and fuels our determination to overcome even the greatest of difficulties. Close quote. Indeed, Honorable Speaker and honorable members, through our resilience and hope, we have steered through the most difficult of times, and we shall be able to carry our province to greater heights. Thank you very much, Somlo.
Honorable Weber from the Freedom Front Plus, you are given 3 minutes.
Madam Speaker, as I said before, I want our Premier to succeed. I want her to make a success of her job. How can I justify to hope that she fails because it will hurt our province? Therefore, I hope that she will succeed. But if she wants to succeed, she must do the correct things. You can't succeed if you do the wrong things. You must do the correct things. When the late Nelson Mandela was about to take power in South Africa, he wanted to transform South Africa into a full-blown socialist state. He then spoke to the Chinese leader and expressed his desire to transform South Africa into a socialist state. The Chinese leader told him, don't do it. We tried it and it does not work. We tried it and it does not work. Eventually, before he took power, he spoke to a guy called Klaus Schwab. He is the guy who started the World Economic Forum. And eventually, Klaus Schwab turned him to say, make some alterations, make some adjustments, but don't turn the whole economy into a socialist state. Now, Madam Speaker, I heard in your speech, and I heard this morning, a quote from a guy called Karl Marx. Madam Speaker, I studied Karl Marx when I was at university. I studied him. I read some parts of Das Kapital. I read it in German. You must read it in German, where he said, Arbeiter der Welt, vereinigt euch. Workers of the world, unite. But when I studied, ngambona kahle lensizwa. Ngabona ukuthi senyamsola lensizwa kanye nalomngani wakhe uFriedrich Engels bona bebethi isigudu bebebhema intsangu. Ngambona kahle. Now, Madam Premier, you must take an example from the Chinese leader. He praises the communist Mao Zedong. He praises him. Thereafter, he implements market principles into the economy. And his economy is growing by 12% per year because he does the right things. Madam Premier, you must praise Karl Marx. Praise him. He's a good man, a nice chap. But if you implement your policies, implement market policies, then our economy will explode. We will get to economic freedom. The EFF will applaud you because our economy is growing and our people are prospering.
Time is up, Honourable Member.
Oh, but Madam Speaker, don't say that to me because I was about to say something very nice. Now, Madam Speaker, I believe that you must turn your suggestions into another direction. I believe, and I'm grateful that you talk about a partnership between the business community and the government. That's the right direction. Business people cut their cloths according to the lengths of their legs. If the blanket is too short, they curl their legs. Politicians try to please people. And if the blanket is too short, they promise to give that person another blanket. That's the wrong way to do. Let's partner with the business community, then our country will survive and succeed. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honourable Manzini, from the ANC, you are given 8 minutes.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker, and greetings to the Honourable Premier and members of the Executive Council, Honourable members of the Legislature, and everyone who's here. Karl Marx, Honourable Premier, also said that you must follow your path no matter what people say. So you are correct. Continue to follow Karl Marx, and the people of the province is agreeing with you. The Honourable Premier has already outlined what was an extensive and very state of the province address, inviting us to collective action in advancing our mission of totally liberating blacks in general and Africans in particular. But Mpumalanga, where all have access to world-class education and health care, never has a vision been so eloquently articulated through concrete projects as in what the Premier outlined in such a comprehensive fashion, and which such admirable thoroughness such as words alone, no matter how beautiful, will seem wholly inadequate. Yet, as expected, with this visionary SOPA, was met with uncritical criticism which offends all laws of logic and rational thinking from the opposition, who do this counterproductive exercise yearly without any shame, rehearsed and rehearsed with the same short-sighted enthusiasm each year, that the Premier did not address this, or the Premier would have said this. It is clear that here we are dealing with people who have a very shallow understanding of multi-party democracies and understand the being in this House to be purely for the sake of opposing and not making any valuable contribution. If this was the case, I can assure them that they do not need so many seats, just perpetually to say no, all of them, and sit down. Honourable Speaker, the developmental state...
Honourable Matseni,
yes.
Can you please take your seat? Honorable members, let me remind you about the rules of the House. Rule 37, subsection 1. Members not to be interrupted. I request, honorable member, that you must not interrupt another member while speaking, except to put a question to such a member or call attention, a point of order, a question of privilege, or the presence of non-members on the floor of the House. You can continue, Honorable Manzini.
No, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. The developmental state paradigm successfully countries are pursuing all over the world has no space for adventurism or wishful thinking, but encourages a pragmatic, creative policy thinking and implementation of developmental project, which takes into account the strategic focus of the state, the institutional architecture, and the technical capacity of the state, and the political will to take difficult decisions that populists like some of those on the other side of the benches will otherwise evade. This year, we observed the 80th anniversary of the African Claims Document of 1943, which served as a precursor of the Freedom Charter and made no apologies about the need to improve access to African to health and education, and most importantly, improve the quality they receive. The African Claim Document commits the people's government on education and health by arguing, open quote, the education of an African is a matter of nation importance, requiring state effort for this proper realization. The magnitude of the task placed it beyond the limit of the resources of the missionary and private endeavor. The right of the African child of education, like children of other sections, must be recognized as a state duty and responsibility. It further says that we regard it as a duty of the state to provide adequate medical and health facilities for the entire population of the country. We deplore and deprecate the fact that the state has not carried out its duty to the African in this regard. The commitment made to the people of South Africa by leading intellectuals of our movement who produced the African Claims Document propelled the ANC-led government to make education and health an apex priority of government as soon we ascended to power. The investment the provincial government has made making to education has seen our matric rate rising consistently from 76.8%, marking to 2.9 increase from the previous year's results. What is more encouraging is that the best learner in the province is an African woman, Penelope Batobile Nkambule of Highveld Secondary in Elukwatini. Penelope achieved distinction in all her subjects, which included mathematics, and there was a second performing learner in Quintal 1 school in the country. These are facts which demonstrate that we are slowly undermining the DA's lifetime hero, Hendrik Verwoerd's barbaric dream of denying African an opportunity to learn mathematics, and no gossip, wishful thinking, and symptoms of cognizant.
Honorable Manzini, you can take your seat. Honorable Krobler.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Can the MEC please withdraw that Hendrik Verwoerd is the leader or the champion or whatever of the DA? Hendrik Verwoerd's got nothing to do with the DA. She must withdraw that, please. It's factually incorrect. Please, Speaker.
Honorable MEC.
What percent do you want to speak? We also cannot turn a blind eye on the progress we are making. Okay, you are inspired by him. We also cannot turn a blind eye.
Honorable members. Honorable members.
But the speaker has not said anything. You are not the speaker.
Honorable members. Honorable members.
Eish.
Can you please conduct yourselves according to the rules and orders of the House?
Oh. Yeah, I
Honorable
am.
Speaker.
I am.
Honorable Speaker.
Spokesperson.
Honorable Mlombo, can you please take your seat?
Honorable Speaker, while
Honorable Mlombo, can you please take your seat?
Honorable Speaker, while we appreciate
Honorable Mlombo, can you please take your seat? Honorable Manzini, can you please withdraw so that we continue?
Okay, I withdraw, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the progress and success of any nation, which is commonly referred to as a Human Development Index, and might be a little complex to understand for some of the shallow thinkers on the opposition, based in calculated consideration a number of health indicators which include life expectancy, infant mortality, and many others. It is that reason that the Premier felt compelled to mention that as a province we have seen significant progress in many health indicators, while we need to dedicate attention to others. Honorable Sedibe, you wasted time here. You put your 10-year plan. You must wait for election. Maybe when we win, you'll be able to deliver it. But now you must engage us on the issues of the province, what needs to be done, where to improve, so that the Honorable Premier, after this meeting, must be empowered to say, I'm going back, Mr. Sedibe said, Honorable Sedibe said, I must do 1, 2, 3, Emadrasi, Mkobotsi, Nasenkomas, and leave that national one to your leadership to deal with that. The province has recording steady increase the number of ideal clinics in the province. We have improved from 53% to 59%, which represent 173 ideal clinics and of 292 clinics in the province. The quality of care we provide in clinics is very important.
Honorable Manzini, can you please take your seat so that I take the point of order? Honorable Grobler.
Speaker, thank you. I rise on a point of order. You stopped the member from the Freedom Front when his time was finished. You put off his mic and you're not doing it the same to the ANC members. So why is there bias between the two sides of the House? It's not fair. You must be consistent.
Thank you
by the way, he said so. And so his speech was also not finished.
Honorable member, I'm the presiding officer. I also check the time and I'm consistent with the time allocated to member. Honorable Manzini, can you please round up?
The province has improved in an antenatal first visit before 20 weeks rate by 74% in the financial year and 78 to date. They are acknowledgeable, which I do not expect to find on opposition benches, will know the importance of antenatal care in order to prevent or identify. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Thank you for allowing me to raise this point of order. Honorable Speaker, the Honorable MEC is deliberately misleading the House regarding the infant mortality rate that has increased in her department, and she's now there not telling the truth in this House, saying her department is actually dealing with that. There's more mothers that go home without their children because they die in our hospitals, and you come here and stand there and lie. You cannot mislead this. No, let the speaker rule. You can't speak while, no, you can't speak while I'm speaking because you're a liar. You're a liar. Sit down. The speaker said sit down. Sit. You come here, you mislead the House. You come here and lie. Mothers leave your hospitals without their babies, and that number is skyrocketing. And you come here and you tell us that you are actually managing that. We're not here to lie. We're debating the SOPA. We're not here to lie.
Yes.
Honorable Speaker, I said antenal first visit before 20 weeks rate has increased from 74 to 78. These are facts. You must listen before you respond. The problem is that you can't don't debate.
Time up.
Honorable members.
They will end up fighting.
We have got
Honorable members, Honorable Sithole, the conduct in the House who gave you the opportunity to speak or to raise your point of order, and while I was busy to speak about the issue, you are still engaging with the Honorable MEC. Honorable member, you are reminded that you must not interrupt another speaker. Also, you quoted the rules that members must not deliberately mislead the House, which is Rule 38. And Honorable MEC, can you please, if you have the numbers you engage, you indicated the issue of the decline in terms of infant mortality. I think the MEC will give the legislature the exactly numbers, because now she did not speak about the precise numbers, but spoke about the decline in terms of infant mortality. Can I request you, honorable members, Manzini, to take your seat, because your time is already up.
How? You must also investigate what Honorable Stoller said, because she lied saying that in the province we have got one orthopedic, of which is not correct.
Honorable
investigated.
Sithole. Honorable Sithole, I hope and believe you'll conduct yourself according to the rules and orders. I will now allow Honorable Grobler, and you are given 3 minutes.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Honorable Grobler, you can take your seat. Let me take Honorable Mlombo.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. It's a point of order which I wanted to raise before. We request that in accordance with the decorum of the House, Honorable Grobler, before he delivers his speech, he must withdraw the word nonsense, which he said when he was calling Honorable Manzini to order, because we would not allow the decorum of the House to be undermined. Please, Honorable Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, corruption is one of the greatest impediments of the province's growth and development. However, there's another form of corruption that is rife in Mpumalanga, and that is political corruption.
Honourable members, can you please take your seat, Honourable Grobler? Honourable members, honourable members, honourable members, honourable members, I did not hear that, Honourable Mlombo, but will retrieve the Hansard and make the ruling on our next sitting. Honourable Grobler, can you please proceed?
Thank you very much, Speaker. That is very progressive leadership. As I said, political corruption is the abuse of public power, office and resources by elected government officials. In 2022, this was a very good year for the Hawks, as many arrested of government officials were made due to fraud and corruption. The DA applauds the Hawks for their hard work and determination. Honourable Speaker, the same cannot be said for the Honourable Premier, who doesn't see that there is any corruption in her administration. And at this point, I would like to reiterate the challenge made by the leader of the Democratic Alliance for the cabinet
can you please take your
to have
seat?
a lifestyle audit on each of their
Honourable
lives.
Grobler, take your seat. Honourable Mashilo.
Able to determine the fairness. So if it's not recorded, let's get something, because I can't look at the back. I don't have eyes back. I must look front there.
Thank you, Honourable Mashilo will correct that, but you still have got time. You can conclude, Honourable Member.
Thank you very much, Speaker. On that point, maybe, MEC, just put your spectacles on the back of your head and you can see the times there. As the Honourable Premier gave her State of the Province address, she praised the Department of Education for the completion of 88 educational facilities. It's been 3 years in a row now that the Honourable Premier has been boasting about the Mkondo boarding school with 85%, that's been filled for 85%. It's also marks 13 years since we first heard about the school of death in Mpumalanga, and still there's no school of death.
Your time is up, Honourable Member.
Let me just finish up, Honourable Speaker, because this was really enjoyable. You know, again, it was a State of Province address with all promises. We would love to see implementation, but Honourable Premier, I'll leave you. Another Premier is not here, but I'll leave her with this quote by Tata Madiba, who once said, "Those who conduct themselves with morality, integrity and consistency need not fear the forces of inhumanity and cruelty." That should be your and your administration.
Your time is up, Honourable Grobler. Your time is up, Honourable Grobler.
We'll have a problem with you.
So you are going to cause Mashilo a problem because now must interrupt him.
We will have a problem with
He's
you
the last
if you
speaker.
continue like this. We're going to have a
Because
problem with
whenever you are
you.
interrupting, it means
You
you must
interrupted
interrupt him.
problem from the beginning to the end.
Honourable Mkabela, can you please take your seat?
No, stop being
Honourable Mkabela, can you please take your seat?
I'm seated, please.
Honourable members. Honourable members. Honourable members.
Only decorum of the House.
Honourable members, Honourable Sidibe, Honourable Mkabela, let me remind you about the rules of the House. Honourable members, let me remind you about the rules and orders, the right of members to speak, which is Rule 57. On subsection number 3, a member who wishes to speak in a debate but is not on the speaking list must indicate his or her wish to the presiding officer by raising in his or her seat. I will allow you, Honourable Mashilo, to debate, and you are given 10 minutes.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, Honourable Premier, members of the Executive Council, honourable members, and indeed our public at large. Madam Speaker, I rise in full support of the State of the Province address tabled by the Honourable Premier Mary Philomena Tsipane on the 24th February 2023 in this august House. Indeed, Honourable Speaker, as the acting MEC for Department of Community Safety, Security and Liaison, I've learned how the scourge of gender-based violence is impacting on our communities. GBV and femicide has really become the second pandemic that has potential to reverse our democratic gains. Our ANC-led government remains resolute in ensuring that the mandate of a safe environment for our community is indeed realized. Madam Speaker, towards the end of 2022, community leaders were shot and killed in Mkondo. Some few days ago, 3 more were brutally murdered also in Mkondo. Madam Speaker, the honourable members, just over a week, a child disappeared in Sinotlelo in Dr. J.S. Moroka, and later a lifeless body was discovered in a pit latrine in the same area. The community responded by taking law into their own hands and killing 3 people who they suspected to have been involved in the disappearance and the murder of this child. As if it was not enough, another GBV, Babaton Umchende, saw a 19-year-old losing her life, allegedly at the hands of her boyfriend. This
past Sunday, I again went to visit the scene of a crime where it was committed in Mukondo. A mother and her 3 kids were brutally murdered. I must indeed applaud our SAPS in the province for their speedy response in arresting the suspect, including those involved in the triple murders in Tandawukanya in Mukondo that include our councillor as well. Madam Speaker, we must applaud our patriotic communities who continuously give the police much needed information and tips off that have assisted enormously in solving these gruesome crime cases. I must indicate, Honorable Speaker, we cannot resolve the crime if our communities are not assisting our government and the police. On the 2nd of March, 2023, we will indeed meet the Justice, Crime Prevention and Security Cluster as to discuss the modalities and how best they can contribute in making sure that we combat this crime. As the police, they normally arrest the people, they are taken to the justice, and justice must indeed assist us in combating this crime. The time has now come that our TV and broadcasting channels to stop advertising and promote episodes that are full of crime and shootings. I've watched a number of TV episodes and dramas. Most of them, they display a lot of guns, and indeed that could be the recipe to the problem that we are faced today. We must call upon our SABS and the new board that is about to be appointed to assist us resolve this problem. As part of combating the scourge of GBV, we will, through the monitoring and evaluation section, continue to monitor compliance of the police in implementing the provision of domestic violence. The 365 days of activism for no violence against women and children will receive focus, and it will be characterized by the implementing various awareness and educational campaigns in various communities. A joint program of action with the Department of Education shall unleash to visit schools unannounced and to do some search to make our school more safer. Madam Speaker, the Premier Honorable Tsipane stated in a speech that the circumstances we find ourselves in were not created by us. However, we are determined to resolve these issues. We support the state of the province that is giving a clear direction with regard to job massification, growing the economy and tourism sector. On the integrated human settlement, the Honorable Premier has painted a very positive picture on the work of government, especially in providing houses for the vulnerable groups and also servicing of sites with the aim of selling to our communities. We came to realize that our communities, most of the time, they don't want necessarily the low-cost houses or so-called RDP, but they need the service side. And indeed, we are on course, Premier, as we have correctly reflected what this department is going to do and this government this year. As part of the Repeat Land Release Program, Department will be in 2023-2024 financial year business plan, make provision for the relocation of all households located in the area prone to the flooding or river banks. Most of the time, people that are taken by water are the people who reside fully at the bank of our rivers. And if indeed we can remove them with a program, that will address majority of the problem that today we might deem as disasters. We are indeed responding to our constitutional mandate of ensuring the people have a roof above their head, which is equal right and a better life. Together with the business, we continue to address the challenges faced by the needy. On the 8th of February 2023, the province was met with persistent heavy rains and flooding which affected several areas of the province, in particular Mukondo municipality in the northeast part of our province, where infrastructure was damaged, facilities and indeed as well as the missing persons. The full extent of the damage and cause are yet to be confirmed as the rain persists. Moreover, preliminary assessment reports indicated that 557 out of 2,078 damaged houses require emergency assistance. Department should access emergency funding from the Provincial Emergency Housing Grant to provide solace and relief to the affected household. All affected departments must do the same, as we all have budget to do that. We must continue to tell the good story about the ANC-led government as we welcome the public service professionalization framework by the Public Service Commission towards a capable and ethical public servant. Premier, we have explained these particular matters. Most of the time, as the Premier speaks, becomes policy issues and the implementation must follow. Things can't you just mention now and the next day things have just happened. There is procedure in this government, there's procedure in this country that must be followed. Your policy speech becomes a framework that all of us must go and develop and put budget for us to move forward. In doing so, we are strengthening resilience within various government institutions and at the same time building a developmental state. As the ANC, we believe in a developmental state. And for that matter, we are determined with the program. As we speak, Honorable Premier, projects that have been mentioned in the years ago are on pipeline. And in short space of time, those projects will be realized. That includes the fresh produce market as well as the parliamentary village. I am certain that members might get worried because they might not go and sit in those particular houses. That's why they're so worried, because that time comes and next day, they might not see the light of those houses. We fought and we shall continue to fight corruption at all times. When there is corruption, there is a corruptee. They may be arrested as part of our program and they step aside. People must not make noise most of the time. If you've got an evidence of corruption, go to the state and present yourself, open a case. Let's not do like the other man that is better known in this country is just speaking over the TV. It becomes a noise that cannot be addressed easily. Police stations are everywhere. If members don't know, we can always show them where they are. Karl Marx, as it was said earlier, Karl Marx, he has never believed in capitalism. He has never believed in capitalism. So it must not be misunderstood as if Karl Marx has believed in capitalism. He did not. And our views as the ANC were not a capitalist, nor a socialist. We combine the two. And that's why we have all of you in this particular house. And that's why we can have some members that are doing business in everywhere. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
That concludes the debate on the Premier State of the Province Address. And that concludes the business for the day. You are all requested to remain standing in your places until the procession has left the chamber. The House is adjourned until Friday, the 3rd of March, 2023, at 10 o'clock in this very same chamber.